All right, David. So I got some questions for you. Um,
Hopefully, I'm
you
ready.
know, oh, you're ready, man. You got this. So the Riffs or Die podcast, was this like an easy transition? You being a frontman in Havok versus basically a radio show.
Easy transition. Not really. I mean, it was a lot of work to get it off of the ground, and then even still, it's definitely a lot of work. Coming up with topics to talk about or contacting other people to be guests, and it's work, but it's fun work. I really enjoy doing it, and I guess the only way that it's similar to being a frontman of a band on stage is like in between songs every once in a while I've got a moment to just banter and shoot from the hip, and every once in a while I say something funny on stage, and it's totally spontaneous and not planned, and in that
Right.
regard the podcast is a lot like that.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I was very antisocial before this, and now I'm like the opposite. And I feel like being a musician myself, I see like the similarities, but at the same time, it's totally different. So I wanted to see how getting into it was for you, because for me, it was like really tough. You know,
Yeah, starting the podcast was definitely I'm still learning how to do it better. And
Right.
in the first couple episodes, especially the first episode, I noticed by the end of it, I was like out of breath because I wasn't like relaxed and just talking into the microphone. I was like vocalizing very loud and running out of breath and putting like way too much air behind my words. And that's something I don't have a problem with anymore, luckily. But like I said, I'm getting better, but I'm still learning and trying to continue to get better at it.
Yeah, and I've been tempted to do like a podcast like you, like some episodes where it's just me talking, but I don't know, like a script versus not a script, if it'd be a pain in the ass, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I could just shoot from the hip for a half an hour about a topic.
Yeah, it's tricky. It's a lot harder than it seems.
Yeah,
When it's just an
yeah.
idea and it's not being put into practice, it seems like a very simple, easy thing to do. But once
And
you
then
start
you
talking
listen,
to yourself for a while, you realize, oh shit, this is a little harder than other people make it look.
and then yeah, I did like an intro. It was like a minute and a half of me talking. I was editing to hell. I'm like, oh, I could just imagine doing a full episode. But all right, so here's the next one. If you were chosen to be the next world leader, what would you try to change within the first week?
A couple of things that come to mind immediately. I would make open alcohol containers in public legal, because if you're walking down the sidewalk and you're not bothering anybody but you're drinking a beer, you're really not harming anyone. That should not be illegal. I would legalize all drugs. I would legalize prostitution. I would make war by executive order impossible.
Yep.
And I would try to implement something where once a month, in between the hours of like 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., the whole city shuts off all the lights, and people make an effort to close their blinds or turn off their lights in their business or whatever, turn off the signs and all that kind of stuff, so that when you go camping, you get to see the Milky Way galaxy and you get to see all the stars and meteorites and satellites flying by, and it's super cool. When we're in the city, we have all this light pollution, and we
Oh,
tend
God,
to forget
yeah,
where we
yeah.
live. So once a month, if I had any political clout, I would try to make it so once a month the cities make an effort to shut off all the lights, and for people that want to enjoy the night sky unmolested by light pollution, they can do that.
Oh,
And it would
that makes sense.
save some money too.
Exactly. I mean, I've always lived in like a country area, so I've never had to deal with that. But like, I just went to New York City for the first time, like a month ago,
Yeah.
and I was just blown away on how many freaking lights, just the people. Like, it was just, for me, it was crazy.
Yeah,
I
and you can't
I,
see any
I
stars
couldn't
out
even
there too.
picture it. But yeah, I don't know if I've always said I want to move out of the country towns, but shit.
It has its perks.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so here's a good one. So the first time I saw you guys was with Megadeth, right?
Hmm.
Kick ass show. Holy shit, man. Like, I've never been blown away with a band so much where I was like, dude, I don't know who this was, but the headliner, I ain't even worried about him, you know? um, so, off the topic of that, when did you feel to a point when you were in the band where you're like, holy shit, like, this music thing, like, I could take it farther, you know?
Well, the realization happened when I was like 15 and we started writing our own music and writing our own songs. It inspired me and lit a spark and made me want to do way more of it. And then every year since then, new challenges arise, and even though the band gets bigger and more successful, more well known, and this, that, and the other thing, there's still plenty of hurdles left that I would like to get over. So it's a constant uphill battle, and I'm not sure that I'll ever be completely satisfied with anything that we do, because
none of us are.
yeah, the day that happens,
never.
all the fire is gone, and I hope that never happens.
Yeah. I feel like the second you like feel that you've accomplished anything, you just become, I don't know, stale as a band.
Yeah, and I can look back and honestly say we've done a lot of really cool shit, and I'm very proud of a lot of the things that we've done, but I'm not finished yet, and there's still plenty of stones that are left unturned.
Right. Dude, Pete, he's freaking wild on Twitch, man. He's so good. Like, and he's always on there, dude. That's the one thing I feel like your band really does is like you have a podcast and he has, Twitch. You're always like active on social media,
Yeah, trying to put out some content for people to enjoy while this pandemic thing is still happening. Excuse me. We were supposed to be on the road all last year. We were supposed to hit the road May 1st, the day that our last record, V, came out. And everything hit the fan in March, and then all tours got canceled. We were set up to have a very extensive touring year and to play all over the planet and probably make the best money we've ever made playing music, and just everything evaporated instantly. And it's not just us, it's the entire industry, the whole music industry. I also work at venues and I do audio. And so I really feel for the people that, manage the venues, the bartenders, the security people, the audio people, lighting people, the promoters, the bookers. Like, there is the bus drivers, catering people. All of those industries are devastated right now.
I think the one thing that pisses me off about the whole thing is like NFL's happening right now. You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand that though.
Yeah, you can have a Super Bowl with 20,000 people, but you can't have a rock show with 500.
Yeah, we can't. We have a local venue an hour away, and they've been struggling. They've had like a Patreon and stuff. They raised like $15,000, but they're a really small business. And I'm like, you're telling me we can have the Super Bowl and have all this entertainment in the sports industry, but not music?
Right.
Like,
first
it's one
thing
of those things. It's one of those things. Like,
yeah, live entertainment in that form, live art, whether that be concerts or plays or musicals or whatever, that kind of stuff is the first thing to disappear, and it's going to be the last thing to come back, unfortunately.
Right. And the live streams, I mean, I've been seeing bands do live streams and stuff, and they're good. They're definitely kick ass, but they're not the same, man.
No, not even close.
Not even the same.
Yeah, the number one reason people will never stop wanting to go to live concerts is because when you go into a music venue that has a big PA system, it shakes your entire skeleton. It's making your whole body vibrate in a special way that you can't replicate at home.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
it's yeah, you can't replicate that at all. But so I've been shooting this one off, and I saw on your Instagram that you post a lot of quotes and stuff. And I was like, I gotta ask this guy this fucking question.
All right.
And so, is there a specific motto or quote that matches your personality? What would it be? We can come back to that one if you
That's
want.
yeah, that's a big question.
Yeah.
One that comes to mind. I mean, there's a few that come to my mind, but one of my favorites is, by all means, let's be open-minded, but not so open-minded that our brains fall out.
Yeah. Now, who is that by?
I'm not sure who the quote is attributed to. I've read conflicting stories on that, so I can't say with certainty.
Gotcha. That's a good quote. That's fucking awesome. All right. So you were talking on your podcast about, well, I don't know if this was you actually, but with all these social media outlets, do you think like in the modern age that these bands have a easier way or a harder way to get their name out there?
Well, the market is way more saturated than it was back in, the heyday of record sales and stuff. So in one regard, yes, it's harder to get your name out there and, be noticed by people because there's just way more content. And on the flip side of that, with the internet and because bands can be very accessible to people, the other side of the coin is that you arguably can be way more successful nowadays than you could have been 30 years ago. So it really, the internet and social media and how widespread it is definitely like a double-edged sword. There are huge pros and huge cons to it.
Exactly. Yeah, it's definitely, I don't know. I was talking to Jeff Becerra, Possessed, about that, and he's like, he couldn't pick, because that's a really tough thing to decide now. The accessibility, for one thing, is I don't know, helpful, but at the same time, it'll fuck you up.
Yeah,
so
I think there's such a thing as being too accessible, because if you let it, social media could become a thing that you're on all day, every day, and it becomes the reason you wake up in the morning.
Right.
It could get out of control and start ruining or running your life if you let it.